Ahoy there! Welcome to another episode or manga chapter review for One Piece. Today we have chapter 1134 titled The Owl Library. So as I suspected in the last chapter, we are going to get to explore the Owl Library a bit and see exactly what Saul's been up to. Perhaps we'll get some more details about the world revealed, maybe. Maybe since Saul has basically been carrying on Ohara's studies, it will show us how much the Giants actually know about the true history of the world, how much they knew before Vegapunk's announcement. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of additional information to Vegapunk's announcement, perhaps. But that's probably what things are looking like. We've got a very cute Shonen Jump cover with characters all designed to look like little plush toys. We got plush Luffy, plush Chopper, and plush Nami, among all the other characters from different Shonen Jump franchises. Notes from Oda. I want to thank all the authors who contributed to the Laid-Back One Piece Anthology magazine. I really enjoyed reading your submissions. Ichiro Oda. Ooh, that would be interesting. A One Piece Anthology magazine. I wonder if that's already been released and translated or if that's upcoming. Either way, that is an interesting concept. Always interesting to see other creators working with different manga properties. Various crossovers. I believe Oda is going to be doing a cover for, I think it might be Dragon Ball Super manga when it returns. Oda is going to do a cover for that. So that will be interesting to see. Now we've got our cover art and it's full, nice, beautiful color spread. It's honoring the voice actor Frankie, who's retiring, Kazuki Yao. So we've got Frankie as a giant robot flying through the sky, and other Straw Hats are all sitting on top of him. And are all carrying super elaborate water pistols. It's a great shot. Robin has her new haircut. Well, her new old haircut. So I'm wondering if this is another indication that it's a permanent change. That would be nice. Going forward in the story. Okay, and the first panel. It's Luffy reaching out. Oh man, Saw, I heard you helped one of our fledglings back in the day. And I really appreciate that. We're in your debt. Allow me to introduce myself. Coming face to face. Translated note, he's using the Edo era Yakuza talk. The upward palm gesture is an archaic greeting. Who the heck taught you that routine? Nobody? This is Luffy. Daddy shi. I know you fellas. World famous. Or I know the fellow's world famous. But hey, it looks like you found them after all. Robin. Got nice shots of Saul. More indications of his burn. He really is burned up along his body. Not just his face. Now we see his arm has got burns on it. Also, I didn't notice this last chapter, but he has braids in his beard now, so he's got braided beard. Which kind of makes sense. That's the style in Elbaf, at least. A lot of bearded braids, or braided beards. Now, Robin, yeah, just like you said, I actually found them. People willing to accept and protect someone like me. True friends. You know we die for you, and they've got all the Straw Hats crying and turning away. All except Jinbei and Zoro. You betcha, he says Luffy. It's good to meet Robin's friends. Seriously, you've done great to make it all the way to Elbaf. Sorry for spooking you earlier. Me and my assistant Angie were out here rehearsing that bit for a while. I used to be a Marine, so I know how impressive it is to be recognized as an Emperor. Thank you so much for protecting Robin. Please keep it up. No problem. Hey Saul, it's me. That's Lilith dashing towards Saul. Have we met? How the heck are you flying? I'm Vegapunk. Huh? You sure you want it now? Yeah, sorry for the trouble. We've got Jinbei pulling out something, a box that's labeled Vega. It's damaged, so it looks like it survived the Egghead Island destruction. Here, allow me. Now Gerd is taking it. You asked me to bring it from Egghead. What's inside it, though? Inside? Why, it's one of me. Another Vegapunk? Yeah, but this clone's different from us satellites. It's a perfect copy. I used it to visit this island 20 years ago. Huh? It's all reacting. Stella couldn't exactly leave the lab for months at a time without government dogs noticing. Now then, let's stop dilly-dallying and get to it. I've already added the cultivation fluid, but we won't be able to do a safe extraction until I make the necessary equipment. That's why I intend to build a new lab right here. Yep, exactly as I speculated all those chapters ago when we were getting to the end of Egghead, that the only safe place for Vegapunk at this point in the story would be on Elbaf. He could build a new lab and operate from Elbaf, safe from the threat of the world government. And it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen here. Also, since this is a perfect clone of Vegapunk, that means Vegapunk is alive, not just as Lilith, but once this clone is activated, they will probably download from Punk, let's see, they won't have access to Punk records, but, or wait, maybe they will? Either way, they should be able to restore a complete Vegapunk, original Vegapunk, and set up a new lab and continue operation right there on Elbaf. So, okay, to the next page. Bonnie. Lilith will make that possible. Will that make it possible for you to help Papa too? That's the plan, Bonnie. Yahoo! Now, Saul, if you really are a Vegapunk, then I'm thrilled to see you after 20 long years. But I don't get it. Why are you a woman? Oh, that is a perfectly logical explanation. Sir, are you done? Can we play now? My bad, kids. Come on out. Thanks for waiting. I apologize for the belated introduction. I'm Angie, an assistant teacher here. Librarian, Saul's assistant, Angie. I don't mean to brag, but this is Elbaf's #1 school and library. This Tykes used the spring as a playground, the spring area as a playground. We had to hold off so they wouldn't spoil Mr. Saul's performance. You went that far? Let me give you a tour of the premises. Woo! That sounds fun! Not so fast! Can't wait to see how Elbaf raises its mighty warriors. So we've got Luffy and Usopp running off to play with the kids and see the whole owl library. This is Wars Folk School. Mr. Saw opened it 20 years ago at our late king's request. It's gonna be a blast. It's a training school for young warriors, right? Woo! We've got Luffy and Usopp dashing, running towards the school. It's got a really interesting design. Lots of sort of hanging pods, little canopy pods that are buildings or schoolrooms, I suppose. Then we've got the big overall building, which has a horse with a scholar hat, sort of headmast. Gerd, Angie, you go on. I'll show them around the school. We're gonna take Robin straight to the library. Are you coming, Chopper? I want to check out the library too. I bet the books are massive. Schools always make me nostalgic, says Brooke. I'll tag along and keep you safe, Nami-san, says Sanji. I'm more interested in that giant tree, says Frankie. And Jinbei, yeah, it's huge. Let's catch these shorties and play prisoner. Should I cut 'em? No, you idiot! We got the kids trying to play with Luffy, Zoro, and Chopper, or Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp. Zoro asks, should I cut them? And Usopp yells, no, you idiot. These kids are giants. These giants are just kids. Be the mature one. Stop that. You know we're not allowed to harm cute humans. Sorry. Don't call them shorties either. They're so lame, says Luffy. So we've got originally some boy giants that were chasing after Luffy, Zoro, and Usopp. Then some girl giants that are the ones that scald them. Stop that. You know we're not allowed to harm cute humans. And then they apologize. And Luffy reacts with a shock face, saying they're so lame. Are these brats really Elbaf's future warriors? Says Zoro. Hey, watch it. You can't just say words like brat anymore. This is surreal. We weren't even offended by that shorty's comment. And aren't you guys meant to be wild fighters willing to pillage and burn the seas themselves? Says Usopp. Fighters? No way, that's dangerous. Huh? You bastards are the next generation of Elbaf warriors, right? Says Usopp. You can't say bastard either. Come on. Words like that are old-fashioned. And everyone's really shocked with this development. Hey, that was an adult just now, says Zoro. Old-fashioned? What's that supposed to mean? Says Usopp. You should probably move. You're gonna get told off. You're standing on Miss Ripley. Whoa. Flap. Boing. Climbed onto a giant? Our bad. Ha ha ha, no worries, you're feather light. Anyway, I bet this is a culture shock for you, but all those legends of fearsome giant pirates are from 100 years ago, you know? Wars Folk School biology teacher, Ripley. And Ripley is a giant. She's got a nice design. But that's an interesting fact they're stating. So, hundreds of years ago, the giants of Elbaf had this fierce reputation. The giants of Elbaf are not fierce anymore, is what this is setting up. So, but are they still strong? Are they like the Samurai of Wano? Or have they gotten progressively weaker over time? Is this setting up a situation where if and when the world government finds out, if and or when the world government finds out that Elbaf isn't the home of fierce warriors that it used to be, then sets up a plot point where the world government could possibly target Elbaf and come to attack it eventually. Let's see, I'm trying to think back. When Big Mom was on Elbaf, I guess it was kind of the same deal. Mountain Beard and Tree Beard were really old Elbaf warriors, so they're probably some of the last remaining people that remember that time. But then giants do live a long time, so hundreds of years ago could still be within the lifetime of some giants. Some of the older giants. Also, this means that Usopp is going to have to probably find some of the older giants to find out more about the legends of Elbaf. So that is rather interesting discovery about Elbaf, but I suppose it makes sense. Okay, next panel. Foul mouths, aggression, plundering, war. Those are relics of a bygone era now. What? Welcome to Elbaf, Straw Hats. I heard about you from Saw. There you are, Luffy. Sorry about our loudmouth brats. Didn't you just say words like that were behind the times? Yeah, miss, you're so naughty. Do as I say, not as I do. Seek to trade with other nations, not wage war. Our beloved late King Harold said these wise words. He often clashed with the graybeards of the villages. King Harold, says Usopp. A visionary of a king who wanted to revolutionize our country. He was slain by his actual flesh and blood, that crazy prince. The country still refuses to recognize his claim to the throne. That's why Elbaf doesn't currently have a sovereign. And that brings today's history lesson to a close. Everyone, show these guys around the school. Yes, ma'am. Okie dokie. Hey, Mr. Captain. You look different from that all-white look you had before. What's the deal? I was looking forward to seeing you like that. Ah, that's me at my freest. You resemble the legendary warrior from the old fables of Elbaf. Ooh. It made my heart skip a beat. I'm from the last generation of Elbaf warriors, after all. Okay, so Ripley is from the last generation of Elbaf warriors. So I'm wondering, Harujan's probably from that generation and his crew. So the new giant warrior pirates, Ripley, and there might be some others that are around that age, and they're the last generation of warriors, Elbaf warriors. So there are still some warriors on Elbaf, other than the ancient ones, and I'm guessing Greybeards would be village leaders, ancient warriors that led villages around Elbaf. And then the king ruled over all of Elbaf, King Harold. So we're getting some of the lore and the structure of Elbaf. Saul. Oh, so you've pretty much already heard. It came up when we were trying to escape Egghead alive. That's how we ended up here. So you know how I couldn't stop worrying about those books, after seeing all those scholars dying to save them. That's why I went back to Ohara with Harujan and the others. I was overcome with tears when I saw how many of them survived, each one a tiny spark of hope. Now careful. Now Robin, be careful. Watch what happens to the book you're holding as you enter. What? And the book starts to grow and bend. There it is. She. Feast your eyes. Isn't it amazing? All these giant-sized books. It's marvelous, don't you think? Any book you bring in here gets gigantified. Welcome to the mysterious Owl Library. All the books we rescued from Ohara 22 years ago can be found here. You made sure not to miss any of them. Not a single one. Whoa. And now, Robin is remembering back to Clover. This is the world's greatest library. Do you like books? I never thought I'd have the privilege of showing you this, says Saul. Robin starts tearing up. And now, okay, next page, we're going back to the realm of the dead. Ah, I guess you've also got nothing but free time, huh? I'm sorry. Am I disturbing you? Nah, I welcome a good disturbance. I have nothing to do but kill time. So that moment of true fear you mentioned before, is that still what motivates you? Yes. Even now when I think about it, I can't stop trembling. Snow transponder snail, voice recognition and cold resistant type. A snow transponder snail, okay, that's new piece of technology. And Loki is talking to someone on it. Ditto, it's so frustrating. We've been friends for a long time, but for one reason or another, we never actually met face to face. If I was there, in your stead, I'd have turned that place into a ruin and slaughtered the lot of them. I don't want that. For a noble soul, you're too naive, Mosa. You gotta stamp them out without mercy. Only a fool gives their enemy a chance to get payback. Thank you for your counsel. What? You use harsh words, but there's a streak of kindness beneath the surface. I've noticed that more and more recently. Translator's note in Japanese uses the suffix for Mosa, which implies Mosa might be some kind of noble, duke, or official with a high respectable status. Pending more context, we're keeping it vague. Hey, you're giving me the creeps. Don't do that again or you'll regret it. That kind of crap won't fly. Kindness? Never say that to me again. Please. Can you not shout? Shut up, Mosa. Just you wait. Slime no longer shackled. Western Village. Hey, wasn't the feast delayed? We're just drinking while we wait. You're having way too much. And while the giants are celebrating and waiting for Straw Hats to return, we've got black lightning striking into what looks like the castle. Is that the top of Elbath? The royal castle? Maybe it is. Lightning strikes. There's a summoning circle. Some cloaked figures. One of the cloaked figures is Shanks. Huh. Or someone that looks like Shanks. And the other cloaked figure is someone who is bandaged up, so you can only see their eye. Interlopers appear in a flash. Through the summoning circle. The same summoning circle that the Gorosei use. A hooded figure that looks like Shanks. And another hooded figure. It's bandaged up. This is going to, and that's the end of the chapter. This end of this chapter, the whole of this chapter has been a lot of information revealed, but the end of this chapter especially. So I guess we'll start with the end. We got the hooded figure that resembles either is Shanks or looks like Shanks. It's a side view of Shanks, so we can't see the scar for his eye. There's been a theory going around for a while that it's possible that Shanks has a twin. And that stemmed from the idea that the Gorosei don't seem to be moving so hard against Shanks the way they do the other Yonko. Like, generally, the world government doesn't mess with the Yonko, and the Gorosei leave the Yonko alone, but Shanks seems to have even special permission from them. Shanks appearing before the Gorosei, and the Gorosei not trying to kill him on the spot was a big thing. And that started to lead the idea of there being a twin brother to Shanks. And then that possibility, that rumor started to grow with the revelation of the Figurlin family and Shanks actually being descended from nobles, world government, the celestial dragons. But then I feel like that doesn't really, I've always kind of taken that theory with a grain of salt because it feels like there shouldn't be a twin brother to Shanks. There's nothing if there was a point in the story where Shanks had done something so blatantly out of character that it would make Shanks seem evil, then that would lend credence to the theory that there's something nefarious about Shanks, or that there is a twin posing as Shanks. So far, the only things that have led to this theory about a twin are they're things that are from the environment and not from Shanks himself. Like, we never see Shanks committing an evil act. We just see people that commit evil acts granting grace to Shanks. And that is making Shanks suspicious. And that just seems like a flimsy reason to be suspicious of Shanks to me. So I've always taken the twin theory to be kind of just some fan's interpretation of the Gorosei giving Shanks that special dispensation because of his bloodline or his familial relationship. And I feel like that's just not enough, because they gave that same kind of dispensation, the same kind of deference to Doflamingo to an extent, but ultimately they did bring the hammer down on Doflamingo when he was defeated by Luffy. They basically had no choice but to capture him, and they had to capture him anyway because Doflamingo's plans weren't just to terrorize the world down below. He did ultimately want to see the Celestial Dragons fall. Ultimately, if fate wasn't going to bring down their downfall, Doflamingo planned to bring it down himself. So they ultimately had to move against Doflamingo in the end. It's not quite the same with Shanks, or at least doesn't appear to be. So it just seems a little bit weird to me. But then if we have this scene here in Wano now, which is going to set that theory ablaze again. Because first we have the conversation. Loki is talking to someone, an unknown noble person, through the transponder snail. In the Loki introduction chapter, he called Shanks a coward and implied that he doesn't like Shanks and they are enemies. I have to go back and read that chapter, but I remember the language specifically being that they were enemies. Not the type of enemies like rivals, like Roger and Whitebeard were enemies, but they were friends at the end of the day. It felt like it was genuine animus between them, and Loki is an enemy of Shanks, and vice versa. So, if that's the case, he wouldn't be talking to Shanks on the phone? Which means he would be talking to this twin Shanks? Hmm. And it can't just be a regular celestial dragon or a Gorosei, because Noble specifically mentions that they sense kindness in Loki. And the Gorosei, I mean, the Gorosei probably can tell when someone's kind, but they would never mention it to them, especially if that person themselves doesn't realize their own kindness. But also that leaves, see, this whole conversation with Loki and the noble, mysterious noble, indicates that this mysterious noble is not a bad person. Loki is talking about how he would have slaughtered everyone and if he was in that noble's position. Noble says he doesn't want bloodshed, doesn't want that. And then the noble says, do you know this is kindness in Loki? If this mysterious noble was a twin brother to Shanks, the twin brother wouldn't be evil. This conversation would indicate that the twin brother is not evil. So then there would be no point in having the twin. Because if the twin isn't evil, then the twin is just doing bad things to make Shanks look bad. For what purpose? Who is controlling, or is there some goal the twin is trying to achieve? So it would mean that Shanks' twin wouldn't have a whole lot of agency of his own. If he did, he wouldn't do anything to Shanks. He wouldn't be seeking to harm Shanks. It would make more sense if there was an evil twin for the twin to just be evil. To be like the rest of the celestial dragons, operating like Garling is. So, taking the whole twin issue off the table for a second, if we suppose that is actually Shanks himself, Shanks traveling through a Gorosei circle. Firstly, we have to consider another property of the Gorosei's Devil Fruit abilities. Can they send people other than themselves through the summoning circle? Let's see. We have never seen, we've never seen anyone other than the Gorosei themselves travel through the summoning circle. Create and travel through the summoning circle. So, and Shanks, let's see. There's still a question. I mean, technically, there's a question about whether Shanks himself has the devil fruit or not. When we first saw Shanks in the story, he went into the water to save Luffy, but that was before Shanks became a Yonko. It's been years since that moment when we saw Shanks in the water. We haven't seen Shanks go in the water since then, all the way back in the early chapters in East Blue. So if Shanks got a devil fruit between then and now, could Shanks have a devil fruit that is similar to the Gorosei, and that allows him to create summoning circles? There was a theory of, a long time ago, like really long time ago, one of the earlier One Piece games, Shanks sort of had an an ability that seemed like it was teleportation slash time manipulation. So there were people that thought that Shanks maybe had a time manipulation or teleportation fruit. Going to the story now, we know teleportation is sort of off the table. Van Alger has the warp fruit, so he has the straight up teleportation devil fruit. Now, there is a question, there's still the possibility that there's an advanced version of the warp fruit. So, the summoning circles don't seem to be instantaneous. Well, I mean, there's setup for the teleportation, but once the setup is complete, the teleportation itself is instantaneous, but having to do the prep work means it's not as instantaneous as the warp fruit seems to be, where Van Alger just teleports in an instant. So I wouldn't say that the Gorosei fruit's teleportation power is the advanced version of the warp fruit's powers. Either way, with that in mind, there's two possibilities. One, well, actually, there's two strong possibilities. One, Shanks has a fruit, or he's with someone that has a fruit that someone else that has a fruit that uses the same summoning powers as the Gorosei's fruit. And option B, the Gorosei sent Shanks. They created a teleportation. They teleported Shanks to Elbaf for some purpose. But then there's a question of Eam and Eam's power. What is Eam's power? Does Eam's power grant the Devil Fruit ability? Or does Eam's power just grant something else, that Haki and immortality? And the Devil Fruit power is just a regular old Devil Fruit power. Because let's see. Yeah. I think that makes the most sense because the summoning circles, they don't seem to be an extension of the Devil Fruit power. So Eam's power grants the immortality for sure. The immortality and the regenerative capability. The summoning circle. And maybe the boost to Haki and Haki based abilities. Like that visual paralysis Haki and such. So those are most likely the powers that Eam grants and then can take away. So if the summoning circle can only be granted to if the summoning circle can only be used by those who have been given that power by Eam, then the question becomes, was Shanks given that power? Or is Shanks being sent by someone with that power? Which could only be one of the Gorosei or Eam. And I feel like Shanks doesn't have a line with Eam. I feel like as cruel as the Gorosei are, They are more reasonable and measured than Eam is. I think Eam would probably kill Shanks on sight just because Shanks is Shanks. Which would mean it would have to be a Gorosei. But for what purpose? I mean, Shanks' father is Gorosei now, which we have to keep in mind. So Shanks' father could be a line in. He could send Shanks to Elbaf for some purpose. And going back to the twin theory, if that's a twin, he could send the twin of Shanks. And there's a third outside possibility that this is someone disguised as Shanks, but that feels so outside because we already have the two clone fruits accounted for in the story. Katarina Devon, and then Bon Clay. I mean, I guess there's another outside chance that, and this gets a little bit more convoluted, but with hit convoluted, Vegapunk made a green blood sample clone of the clone fruit abilities and imbued it into a Seraphim. But that Seraphim would have to be one of the Seraphim we saw but didn't see their powers. So we saw the Gecko Moria and we didn't see any power demonstration. We saw the Doflamingo, I believe, and we didn't see any power demonstration. We saw the Crocodile and we didn't see any power demonstration. So a Seraphim with clone fruit ability could disguise themselves as Shanks. But then what would be the point of sending a Seraphim on this mission? This mission seems to require a specific person. I don't know. But either way, the someone disguised as Shanks theory, at least using a devil fruit power, is, I would say, a fringe theory. In my mind, most likely order of things is A, it's Shanks. Strongest possibility, it's Shanks. B, it's Shanks' twin brother. The rumored twin brother. That's B. Then C, all the way on the outside on the fringes, is that it's someone disguised as Shanks somehow. To my mind, the most likely scenario is that it's Shanks himself. But then that brings the question of why Shanks is there. What is he doing? Why would we be having this conversation with Loki? Maybe Loki is, if what the noble was saying about kindness in Loki is true, maybe all that talk about Loki made to Luffy about being enemies with Shanks was just a bunch of hot air and bluster, or mostly hot air and bluster, and and they are kind of friends-ish. But then Shanks was just in Elbaf. Why would Shanks have to leave Elbaf, travel to Mary Joie, meet with Legorasei, only to teleport back to Elbaf? Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, it's just kind of hard to make sense of. Obviously, we could spend a whole lot of time just speculating on this. This is obviously going to be our point of speculation for the entire fandom for the rest of the year until the next chapter. So we got Loki. Then we got the other kind of other biggest revelation is that the warriors of Elbaf are not what they used to be. They've basically gone extinct. That Harujan and the giant warrior pirates, and now we have Ripley here, are the last vestiges of Elbaf as it was once known. In fact, Elbaf is looking to engage in open trade with other nations. Now, engaging with in open trade with other nations, that's basically opening Elbaf up to the world government. In a situation that kind of parallels Wano. So how do we engage in trade with other nations? Other nations that are affiliated with the world government. Because if they're world government affiliated nations, they won't trade with other nations unless those nations are involved with the world government or have approval from the world government as trade partners. So yeah, that does mean that King Harold sought to, or maybe he didn't seek to, but his goal of trading with other nations would ultimately lead to Elbaf being part of the world government, if not aligning with the world government. So maybe that's what Loki acted on when Loki killed King Harold. Or maybe it's a situation where Loki didn't kill Harold at all and Loki has been framed. That could be a possibility that Loki's been framed. But then we'd have to figure out who framed Loki. But there is a question about Loki now. That Loki might not be quite as evil as initially thought and the people of Elbaf seem to think. Hmm. So yes, we've got the revelation of the weakening of the giant warriors of Elbaf. Not so much warrior nation anymore. Next generation are not warriors. They're seeking to engage in trade with other nations, which means ultimately they might end up as part of the world government. Also got the revelation that all the surviving books of Ohara. We got the interesting power that everything that enters the Owl Library, every book specifically that enters the Owl Library, gigantifies. In the Owl Library shot, we see that there's an owl perched on a branch. My thinking is perhaps the owl has some sort of devil fruit power, maybe an awakened devil fruit power. And inside the library, whenever a book enters the library, it gigantifies. That seems to be the most likely. It would have to be a devil fruit power that's doing this. But Ohara has survived even more than Robin had originally thought. All of the surviving books from Ohara are here on Elbaf in the Owl Library. So that's a big bit of information that if the world government knew, that would definitely make Elbaf a target for a buster call. So there is a lot here. Now that we know that Elbaf is not quite as secure as it once was, I guess just off the reputation alone, as long as the world government doesn't learn all the changes that have taken place within Elbaf, then the question becomes, will that information blackout hold for Elbaf? Because if the world government learns everything that's taken place in Elbaf, then they will definitely send forces to Elbaf, which is something the world government has wanted to do anyway because they would like to have access to giants. But the problem is they like to have access to giants of old, but if they get their hands on giants, giant children, they can raise them to be warriors. Giant DNA they can use for experiments and making clones that are giants and raise those clones to be stronger. They can make seraphim giants. They can make cyborg giants, pacifista style giants. There's a lot of power that could be gained even if they don't gain the people of Elbaf directly. And then there's information to be kept, managed, and destroyed. So Elbaf is a valuable place. Okay. I think I'm going to leave the review off here. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next chapter, which will be in the next year, 2025. So, till then, Merry Christmas, and I will see you all. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, and I will catch you all in the next video.